All right, you guys, we're starting to build today, making our Claydonians. So we want to make sure that we're kind of getting set up and ready to start. By the end of class today, what we're looking to have is something kind of like this. Our two pinch pots put together, but of course we would want to make sure that all of those edges are nice and smoothed out. So we'll start by just putting them together and then smoothing out. Well, we'll get back to that in just a second. I just wanted to let you guys know where we're going to end is something kind of like this with your two pinch pots smoothed out, ready to go, and a piece of saran wrap over the top of it. Try to get it as fitted as you can. You could even tuck it under a little bit. That way it's not getting dust on it or losing too much moisture. Just kind of having it ready to go. And I would put this somewhere safe for storage, okay? You don't want a sibling, cousin, somebody thinking it's a toy and playing with it, or an animal thinking it's a treat and eating it. So make sure you're storing this somewhere safe in between when we are going to be building it. So let's back up a little bit though and chat about how we're going to get to this point. So far you should have your Claydonian, the front view drawn out and labeled with how you're going to make each of these things. So today we're doing anything made out of pinch pots. So in this example it would be the head body of it. The side view then was also supposed to be drawn, and it should have had the tacks and the moves. So that's what you should have ready to go for today. So now to get ready for building, I'm going to suggest making something, a platform kind of like I have here. And so basically what I did, I'll show you like this. I just took a piece of cardboard, okay? And with my piece of cardboard, I wrapped it, here we go, with parchment paper. You could use wax paper too, both work well. You're going to notice that tape doesn't stick super well to it. So what I actually did was I took and just kind of wrapped it like you would a gift. Get that in. Like so. And then I stapled it down. So you can see I've got all around the edges, I've got staple marks, and that's going to help to hold it down and in place. So I'm actually going to want to make two of these, but for today, one would be fine. This one that I have is going to be where I'm going to build my Claydonian on, and then at the end of every day, once I'm done building, I can just put that saran wrap over the top, and it's very easy for me to pick it up and put it somewhere safe, versus if it's on this tabletop, now I'm trying to like pick it off and peel it off, and it might get stuck and it might break, and I would just hate for you to have something completed and looking good, and then when you're trying to like take it off to put it away for the day, that it's going to break on you. So making something like this could potentially save your project in the coming days, so I recommend it. Okay, so you could just use cardboard from like a box, or you know, if you've got a cereal box, even something thin like that will work, but this will just help with the you know, place to keep it. Once again, I suggest making another one too. The other one I would maybe make just a little bit bigger, but that's going to be where we can kind of like roll out our slab and roll our coils as well. So if you're making them right away, might as well make two. But for now, we'll for sure want the one to build on. Okay? So now let's chat about the optional thing that I have listed here is to rummage around your house for things. What do I mean by that? It's going to depend, right? Like, I don't know if your Claydonian has like some cool textures or like things going on, but thinking about, okay, well, what could I use to do that? So here's like some things I found around my house. I found a fork, and I was thinking like that could be kind of a cool pattern, or I could do like stripes in my clay by using a fork. I found these corn cob poker thingies, and I'm like, oh, that could make, you know, if I want some sharp dots all over it, it could work for that. So I found those. We'll definitely want something like a marker or a glue stick, or when we start making slabs, to kind of roll those out. And having extra cardboard will be handy for that too, just so you know. I found a chopstick. I'm like, maybe if I want different size circles in my clay, that could work. I found this crafting kit, and there's all kinds of things I could use in here to make patterns and textures on my clay. So rummage around your house and see what kind of cool stuff you can find that might work well for your Claydonian. Okay, and it's going to be different for all of us, so I can't say like, oh, go get this, this, and this, because we all have different patterns and ideas of what our Claydonians are going to look like. So for today, though, our step 2 today is going to be, we want to get those pinch pots together. So something looking kind of like that. So when you get your clay, and I'll show you too how I store my clay right away. When I'm storing my clay, so you can see this is the other half of what I had there, I try not to rip my plastic too much because I do like to kind of wrap it back up in there, and then I just put it into a plastic baggie that zips, and I just store them like that. That way they don't lose too much moisture. So that's how I store them. The cool thing about this clay is it's pretty user friendly. So it's a polymer clay. If you've got other polymer clays too, most brands are they're friendly with each other. So let's say if I had, these two oranges, this sort of reddish orange, and then this dandelion orange. I'm like, oh, I kind of wanted something in between. You could actually take a chunk off of here, take a chunk off of here, and mix them together. Now remember, we always have the option after we bake these to paint them too. But if you know ahead of time that you're looking for a color somewhere in between, you can blend polymer clays together as well, which is kind of nice. So either out of the couple chunks you got from Art Club, or if you have some from a previous year, or you just have some at home, that's always an option too. Okay, so when working with the polymer clay, at first it's going to be, see how it's like not super smooth? It's almost like if I were to rip a Laffy Taffy. Like it's a little sticky, like it rips, it certainly does, but it's not very smooth and creamy. So when you work with polymer clay, the more you kind of squeeze it, and the more you mess with it, the softer it's going to become. It's going to turn into more like a bubblegum texture than a Laffy Taffy texture. So you can see that's already starting to happen, where it's a little bit smoother, more malleable. So that's good. The warmer the room is, the warmer your hands are, the more moisturized and like the oils that your hand has, the faster this is going to happen. So if you're in a cold room and you've got really dry hands, this isn't maybe going to happen as fast as you just saw it happen with me. But my hands are warm because my hands are always warm. And I know that I've got some oils on my hands too that are helping to soften the polymer clay. But worst case scenario, you guys, if your hands are dry and your room is cold, try putting just like some coconut oil or some olive oil or whatever vegetable oil on your hands, and just like rub them in, let the oil sit for a minute or two, and then you can always kind of put this in your hand, go and warm up your hands. Notice this is in there too, so I'm adding the moisture to that. So that's always an option as well. But anyway, once I've got it so it's softened and easy to work with, for pinch pots, so I'm going to just talk about pinch pots today because it's going to be enough work just to get two of these smoothed out together for our base of our Claydonian today, or our head, wherever your pinch pots are going. But what you're going to do is roll this into a ball. You can roll it between your hands like that, or you could roll it on the surface like this, but you want to just get a ball. And now try to remember how much clay there was. And you might even want to roll two balls at the same time, because when we're making pinch pots, they need to be the same size, right, for them to match up. So this one's kind of small, but that's okay. For this demo, that'll work. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my thumb down into the center and start making that, concaved area there. And then I'm going to just start pinching those edges. Make sure you're pinching the bottom too. We want to have walls that are about 1/4 of an inch thick. And just so you're just going to kind of keep going around and pinching it into shape. And just make sure you also get the bottom, because some people end up getting the sides that are nice and thin, like they should be, but then like the base of it ends up being really thick. So you got to make sure that you're pinching that too. and then pinching it into, you know, whatever kind of shape you want. It doesn't have to be perfect circles. They could be ovals. It kind of depends on your Claydonian, right? Once again, this is a super tiny chunk, but so you're just going for something kind of like that, making a pot, a little tiny pot like that. So I'm going to take these apart because I'm not going to do two of them. You can see though, here's what I did. So I had my two tiny pinch pots, right? And a thing I like to do, just because I'm kind of old school like this, but I do like to add some texture to make them stick a little bit better together. So I just kind of scratch where they're going to be joining together. So just, once again, it just adds some texture, gives it a little bit more to hold on to, I think. So I'm going to take them then, my two pinch pots, and you know, they're not perfectly sized together, but they're close, so they'll work. So I'm going to go like that and put them together. Now, you could use something like, you know, I could use this chopstick here, I could use a pencil, or if you've got any tools, you could go ahead and use those too. And just start, you know, kind of moving this side to that side and this side to that side, back and forth to kind of make them into one round ball. That will be whatever, you know, whether it's your Claydonian's body, the head, whatever it is. And then once I've got them a little more together, that's when I can take and smooth it out. Now be careful, right? Like this is hollow, so we don't want to push on it too hard and make it cave in. But I'm just going to go around the whole thing and do that, where we're going to make it all one seamless pinch pot. Okay? So that is what we're doing to kind of smooth it out and get it into shape. I'm not going to do the whole thing because this video would take forever. But something like that. And then once we're done, go ahead and set it on your platform. I would kind of just make sure it's got the saran wrap nice and tight around it and put it somewhere safe. We don't want anything bad happening to this. You just put all that work into it. So we don't need anybody destroying that on you. So put that somewhere safe. Make sure that any clay that's left over, just kind of wrap it up in that plastic. If you threw that away or it ripped too much, just get another piece of saran wrap and put it in the bag. Make sure you squeeze all the air out of there too. You could even put this all together on there and put it away somewhere safe. Next class we'll talk more about slabs and coils, because obviously we're going to be adding those to our Claydonian as well. And then just a reminder too, you know, we only have so much clay. So just keeping in mind that these Claydonians aren't going to be huge. You know, they're going to be maybe about the size of the palm of your hand, maybe up to as big as your hand. And then also don't worry too much about the color, because once we bake these, you will be able to paint them any color you want to. So, you know, this color just so happened to be very similar to the orange there, so I thought I would use it. But if I end up having to use different colors for the head and the neck, so be it. I can just paint it all. So it's not that big of a deal. All right, you guys, I hope you have fun with this. Good luck. Make sure that, you know, you're being careful with it. It is, you know, it's somewhat fragile until we bake them. We do have to make sure we're not pushing anything too hard or breaking it. So, and then just knowing too, you know, I think for this one, it took me 3 tries to get the pinch pots looking the way that I wanted them to. Knowing that you can always ball it back up and start over is okay. You know, it's going to be more workable, more malleable the more you're playing with it. So don't ever fear having to like scratch something and start over. All right, have fun.